Have you noticed that employees tend to get hurt doing the same types of jobs? Unfortunately, if you've been a safety manager for any length of time, you've probably seen an accident that happened in the same area or with the same equipment that you had happen previously. And that is a bad feeling. There is nothing worse than when you see an employee get injured and then you have a repeat of that injury down the road. Well, if you're in that predicament, then a job hazard analysis could be the key out of that. This could be the solution to your problem. You see, a job safety analysis, sometimes called a job hazard analysis, and oftentimes called our acronyms JSA or JHA. Sometimes these are kind of coded in mystery and nobody exactly knows what they're supposed to be used for. Well, in today's episode, I want to unpack exactly what you need to do to create an effective job safety analysis. You see, this isn't a job safety analysis where you're just going to get something that's nice and shiny on a piece of paper. This is one that's designed to work in the real world, one that will actually prevent accidents from happening, and something that should be a vital part of your safety program. Let's jump in. Well, hey friend, my name is David Sawyer. Today I'm excited because I'm going to take away some of the mystery that's surrounding job safety analysis. But before we get into that, please go to my website, helpwithosha.com, and you can access a free OSHA audit checklist. This is the best way to prepare your company for an unexpected OSHA visit. It will tell you exactly what you need to do in terms of getting the documentation right, how to do a walk around, what the 3-part framework includes every time OSHA comes on site. This is a really, really helpful resource, and it's completely free. Just go to my website, helpwithosha.com, and you can access this checklist today. Now, let's talk about job safety analysis. So, job safety analysis is a tool that is used particularly in areas that are high hazard areas, meaning injuries are likely to happen. And it's a tool that some companies just blanket it across every single department, and that's okay. But I like to use it strategically so that we really focus in on the most serious accidents or the most frequent accidents and how to prevent them from happening. So essentially what this is, it's a systematic approach where you find out what the job is, you find out what the hazard is, and you find out ways to prevent people from getting hurt. So let me unpack that, and then we'll apply it to a specific job that you probably have people doing at your company right now. So the very first step you're going to do is you're going to pick a job to do this on. Now, typically there's a form. Like most things nowadays, everything's available online, but you need to pick a job that you're going to do this hazard analysis on. And so you want to identify where are people most likely to get hurt, or where is someone going to get severely hurt, right? Where is the hazard severity high or the frequency high? So I like to do this on areas where we have a track record of injuries, because it's a great way to go in there and find out, hey, this is what we've been doing and it wasn't working, and now we're going to switch over and we're going to start doing it this way. So picking the job is the first step. After you pick the job, then you're going to take that job, you're going to talk to the operator or the supervisor. Keep that in mind. Don't do this on your own. You're going to talk to the operator or the supervisor, and you are going to break that job into simple steps. I don't care what it is. You should be able to break it down into 4 to 7 steps. Once you get past 7 steps, it gets a little messy. We want to keep it simple. So you might have to take one job and break it into multiple jobs just so that you can have the steps in a really easy to follow framework. So after that, each step, you're going to identify the hazards. Now, this is where I use my favorite question. How would somebody get hurt doing this job? So then you're going to identify the hazards for each step that you just broke down inside the job. After that, how are we going to prevent somebody from getting hurt doing those? So again, really simple. Pick the job, break it into parts, break it into steps. Identify how somebody would get hurt doing each step. And number 4, put preventive actions in there so that nobody gets hurt doing the job. Now, what we don't want to do is we don't want to just say, well, we're going to throw PPE at the problem. That's not what we want to do. The key here is you want to look at the job and have a fresh set of eyes and say, how could we prevent somebody from getting hurt? The number one, the best way to prevent somebody from getting hurt is eliminating the job altogether. If you get rid of the job, nobody's going to get hurt. And believe it or not, I've seen that work very effectively, where we've had people getting hurt and we go, why are we doing this? And then we realize we didn't have to. We had other options, other ways to do it. So eliminate the job. There's a way to substitute. If there's a way to change the engineering of what you're doing, if there's a way to retrain people. Training is usually my last go-to. Well, PPE is my last. But training is usually right there with it because I don't want to try to change people's habits. It's really hard. Once they've been doing something for a while, it's hard to go in there and shock them out of it and get them to start doing it a different way. They're going to fall back into that groove that they've been doing. So try not to rely on training. Try to rely on changing something so that there's a change in the behavior. Now, let's break down a really simple job that you probably have people doing at your company right now. An electric pallet jack. You also could use this for an electric forklift or maybe even a propane forklift. But if you have equipment that moves materials around your facility, this would be an outline for a job safety analysis. So the first step, somebody walks over to the piece of equipment. What's the first thing you should be doing? That's right. You're going to do an inspection. Now, this might be documented, or it might just be a walk-around visual inspection, making sure there's no leaks, there's no damage, the pallet jack has been plugged in and is charged up, right? It's got a green light showing that it's ready to go. So the very first thing is inspection. Now, how would somebody get hurt doing an inspection on a pallet jack? Well, it'd probably be pretty difficult, but one way they could get hurt is if they had faulty electrical wiring and maybe there was a puddle on the ground. So we're going to make sure that people know, hey, look out for water on the ground. Make sure the charger is plugged in correctly. So that's something that we'd be looking for there. Number 2, we're going to unplug the charger. So we're going to make sure that people know to turn off the charger before we unplug it so that that process is safe, and then we have it unplugged. Number 3, we're going to move the pallet jack over to wherever we're going to start moving the material. Now, this is where I need to back up. At the top of your form, breaking this into different chunks, you're going to have in bold letters, operators must be certified. So that you have certified operators are the only ones moving the pallet jacks. From there, you're going to have PPE that pallet jack operators are required to wear. So I'm getting I kind of got the cart in front of the horse a little bit because we want to make sure, hey, do we have to have steel-toe shoes on? Do we have to have a helmet on? Do we have to have a high-vis vest on? Do we have to have long pants on? Whatever the specifics are for your PPE, you're going to have that on the form as well. But that could change depending on what we encounter. So we're going to move the pallet jack from the charging area over to where we're going to start moving materials. Now, what could go wrong there? Well, when you're moving, you could be traveling through an intersection. So we want to make sure people know to honk their horn. We want to make sure people are looking for mirrors. We want to make sure that the aisles are clear before they start moving the pallet jack around. So that's something to keep in mind. Number 4, they have to position the forks under the load. Here, we're going to identify there could be pinch points. We could have pedestrians or coworkers around nearby where their toes could get in the way. We could have really tight corners and tight sections where we're trying to maneuver and get in there so we can put the forks under it. So then we're going to make sure that we raise and transport the load. Now, stability is a big factor here, so we're going to make sure that the boxes are wedged together, in a Tetris formation, so the boxes are locked in there. We're going to make sure it's steady and it's balanced. When it raises up, we're going to have the forks off the ground so the wheels move smooth. We're not going to exceed the capacity. Then we're going to move it over to where it's going to go, and we're going to lower it down to the floor. Again, foot injuries are huge with pallet jacks, so we're going to make sure our toes are out of the way. We're going to make sure everybody else's toes are out of the way, and we're going to have a really clear use of where this is going to be positioned, so we're not blocking anything. We're not blocking exits. We're not blocking extinguishers. We're not blocking pathways. And then the last thing is, once we've moved the product over there, what do we got to do? We got to return the jack back to the charger. And so we're going to say, hey, again, pedestrians, path of travel, PPE, looking out for changes in the floor, potholes, making sure that when we connect it to the charger, we turn off the jack so the battery's turned off before we unplug it and plug it into the charger. So that would be a really simple JSA for an electric pallet jack. Couple reminders I would put on the bottom. Number one, you must be trained and authorized. You're going to be certified by the company. You can only charge it in a designated area. And we are never going to ride on the pallet jack for any reason. So you kind of have those put on the bottom. This is a great way to identify dangerous areas in the facility. So if you have an intersection where you've had some collisions, or if you got a shipping and receiving area where it's constantly busy, this is just a way to kind of put a magnifying glass on the safety procedure for the electric pallet jack. So I use that as an example. You can use a JSA for any job you might have. I've written them for countless things, but you want to make sure that you include the operator and the supervisor of that area, because they will have some tribal knowledge that you won't. So don't just assume I used to do this 5 years ago. I know exactly what to do. Something has changed in 5 years. So you want to make sure that you've tapped into their knowledge and that they have some buy-in to the process. Because if they don't buy into it, it's never going to work. JSAs are excellent for training new operators because you literally can walk them through the job step by step. And I mean literally walk them through it, because you can walk beside them going over the JSA and making sure they understand. They know the PPE that's required, they know the training that's required, and they know the steps that are broken down with what could go wrong. One of the worst feelings I have as a safety manager is when somebody got hurt and they didn't even know there was a danger. That's the worst feeling in the world. They didn't even know it was dangerous because they had not been properly trained. A job hazard analysis helps correct that issue. So until we talk again, go on my website, helpwithosha.com, download a free OSHA audit checklist, and please do everything you can to keep the people you work with safe, because no one should get hurt at work.